Thank you.
Calling people Nazis needs to stop.
That's kind of Nazi-ish of you, Joe. Close.
Do me a favor. Can you both give me your heart right now?
Do I have to do it like I don't want to do it?
Yes, do it just like do it right now.
As of today, there are only two genders.
This is one thing he can throw to his voting sector and his population that say, hey, I'm doing something for you.
I'd like to start out by saying fuck you to our newcomers.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome back to the Madhouse Show. This evening we're going to be talking about the Trump inauguration. We have some new panelists with us, some old panelists with us. We'll get to their names later. They're not important. Anyway.
Why did you look at me when you said old?
I don't know.
Very unfair.
I don't know. I mean, you would think you'd be up on your mic because you are an old panelist. There you go.
I'm very up on my mic.
Oh, you haven't even moved it. I could tell because it's still glued to the table.
It's still glued to the table.
Ah, there it is. There it is. There we go.
Coming up.
All right. Now it's that high gloss paint. It sucks. Anyway, so let's just get right into it. Why don't you cue up clip 1, Stevie?
I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad.
So, anyway, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. I thought that was funny. A lot of what he was saying, obviously Biden and Kamala and the whole cabinet was right behind him. And it was kind of dirty and just a little bit of a hit. So, I mean, real quick, for you guys who follow, I'm a little right-leaning. Am I a hardcore Trump supporter? No, absolutely not. Am I? Stop shaking your head, George. Am I anti-Democrat?
Blurry.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, get the cheesecloth off the camera.
Yeah, what's going on there? Anyway, so we're gonna have to cut that shit out. More editing fun. So anyway, yeah, a little right-leaning for sure. Not hardcore Trump supporter. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with this administration, and I'm very upset with what did happen on the past administration. So why don't we jump to our newcomers over here? We'll start with Danny, and we'll just go down the line. Danny, how do you feel about Trump being elected? Democrat, Republican? Which one are you?
I don't really lean either way. I don't vote or anything, but I'm okay with him being president. I hear plenty of people really far against him and all the hoopla that surrounds him. I just want to see what happens with it. I didn't think it was that bad the first time, but we'll see this time around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Brian, where do you stand with this?
I'm an independent voter. I vote both sides before in the past. I think when we look back at what we're going to see as Trump's presidency, it's going to be a transitional presidency. I think the age of liberal neocon policy is to an end. We're entering a world where there is going to be multipolar superpowers. And I think this is the first time in 70 years where Trump's actually mentioned, or the U.S. has actually mentioned global expansion. We're talking about Greenland. We're talking about taking back the Panama Canal. This is a big change in policy, and I think Trump, he has some good things and some bad things that come with him. It's going to be really interesting how he handles China and Russia, and a big portion of this is going to be economic power. Are we going to bring back manufacturing? Are the tariffs going to be used to support that economic power and build back? It's going to take a lot of money. That's interested in what I'm seeing. The social issues that he's talking about, I think that just divides the country, and that just takes your eyes off what really matters. And when we talk about the rich getting richer and income inequality in this country, I think that's a big problem, and that's where I want to see Trump focus in the next 4 years.
Joe?
Sure. Yes, sir.
We are frozen up right now.
God damn the world. Okay, and we're back. A little bit of technical issues there. We were just ended up with Brian. So I think you pretty much said your piece, right?
Yeah,
pretty
I
much
think
finished
we got
up.
all that.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right.
Yeah, just because, and there's a thumbs down.
On
I have no
me.
clue.
We don't know where that is.
We don't know where that comes from yet, but one day we'll figure that out.
All right.
Topher, where do you stand with all this, buddy?
I think so far what we're seeing is it's the great bait and switch presidency, right? He talked a lot about income inequality and all these other issues, and trying to stop woke and DEI and affirmative action and everything. But what he's done so far is try to tear out the entire thing and re-legalize discrimination. Bring back all of the worst things that we don't want to see. So, I mean, I think he told one story to get elected, and now we're going to see that he's mostly in the pockets of the oligarchs and are going to do whatever they want for the next 4 years. And that's going to be really rough on people. So, I think that's going to suck.
I'm afraid of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I hope that's not true, but we'll see. We're at the cusp of finding that out. James, what do you think?
Let me start off by saying welcome to our guys that are here for your first time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. And I actually wanted to riff a little bit off of what one of you said. What Brian said is what my hopes are for the Trump administration. I don't have a crystal ball, can't predict the future. I will say this, that even if the guy or gal that I didn't vote for ends up in office, I still think that it's my patriotic responsibility to hope that they do well. Because them doing bad isn't good for me or likely anybody else.
No.
Maybe, sometimes for small interest groups and stuff like that. But so I am optimistic. And I think this is a sentiment that a lot of people feel like there's actually someone present in the presidency that, and I'm not, who cares? I'm not trying to just knock Joe Biden. He was vacant. That presidency, it was like, well, nobody
He didn't
really
do
knows.
media responses or anything.
Nothing, yeah. And it felt like nobody knows who's in charge and what the hell are they doing?
Oh, yeah.
And the election is, showed that. So what do I think we'll see out of Trump? I understand Chris's concerns too, on the flip side. I want Greenland, okay? There's a political stance I'll take right now.
Okay.
And just in case anybody hadn't seen it, because it was about a week ago, but it didn't get a lot of play. In the Wall Street Journal, there was an article in April of this upcoming year, Greenland is holding a sovereignty vote, meaning not that they'd become a part of the United States from this vote, but that they would be their own sovereign nation and no longer part of Denmark. So last time that it was polled, their population, there's like 50,000 people that live there, right? Last time it was polled, 80% favorability for becoming sovereign.
Same thing kind of happened with Russia and Ukraine, but not that we're going to get into that. But
rumors being floating out that the Trump administration wants to offer every resident of Greenland $1.2 million in order to become part of the United States.
Jesus.
And I don't know, it's actually not that much money budgetarily. Do the math. It's like, I think it's 116
I could
billion.
use it 1.2
Like, it's a
million.
lot of money, but it's not like, this isn't
way less than we gave to Ukraine so far, yeah.
Sure, yeah. And so there is a chance that we could get Greenland, and I am here for it because I've been making fun of that idea of his since his first presidency. It's hilarious.
That's interesting.
At that, man, that's enough time. I'll pass it over to George.
Yeah, George, how you feeling? I see you slamming the whiskey over there.
There's just not enough, Joe.
Oh, there is.
I'd like to start out by saying fuck you to our newcomers.
Thanks.
I don't appreciate you being here. You're a waste of space and you're taking up my time.
It will be blood sport.
So I disagree with, I think, all of you except Topher. I think the guy with the coolest beard wins.
Shocker.
So to Joe, I would say, because Joe pointed out that Kamala and Joe were in the background. Yes, they were. Was Trump there when Biden won? No.
Well, he was pissed because they rigged it.
Well, hold on.
He was pretty loud when he lost that election. He was not quiet.
Because it's important for the peaceful transition of a democratic republic. The adults showed up. I mean, okay, no, my time, not yours.
And the billionaires.
True. Okay.
I think he's calling Mike Pence an adult.
To the point on Greenland, this is not a serious consideration, folks. I am so sorry, but the fact that Greenland is halfway between us and our enemies does not mean that we get to take it over. Would you apply that to all of our enemies? Anywhere that's halfway between us and our enemies is ours now. Because that's for national security.
It's just like a modern-day Louisiana Purchase.
Greenland does not. It's not. It's not Napoleon. This is not Thomas Jefferson. Okay, it is not like
it is not Thomas
It is not. And in the clip Joe played, Trump said, "We're going to end the." I try to write down fast. The vicious, violent, unfair weaponization of the Justice Department. The very thing he is complaining about. Joe Biden right now issuing pardons to people like Dr. Fauci, a good man who served Democratic presidents, Republican presidents, and did his best at a time where no one knew anything.
It's debatable.
Very debatable.
Yes.
That he did, that he served. Okay, so which point? So I said he served
You
Democratic.
should have used a
and
better
he said
example.
he was a
than
good
Fauci.
man.
Yeah, you should have used a better example than Fauci.
Yeah.
Like his
okay,
outsourcing
so-
of our bioweapons research to discount labs was like enormously illegal.
guy literally
He
tortured puppies.
embezzled off of it. Is
Fauci did not literally torture puppies.
I've seen it. My cousin told me.
he wasn't a great dude in his role in any case.
So he should be thrown in jail.
No, not. But like, well, it depends. It depends.
Who's prosecuting? Nobody's prosecuting.
You know, the whole
No,
thing.
no one can, and that's the point.
I think the whole thing about that is I wouldn't mind seeing the hearing if they do have evidence brought up. Why does he get a preemptive pardon? It's pretty interesting.
Or not an investigation.
Because a preemptive pardon to me is immunity.
Because there is,
Keep in mind the Supreme Court ruled that allowing, because what they said was that the court can't force a pardon on anyone. You have to accept it. Therefore, when you get a pardon, it's an admission of guilt. Of what? Is it fair that if they're going to take a pardon and admit
every
guilt, that I
president
ask, what are
issued
you guilty of?
pardons. Trump issued
Sure they
pardons
do.
his first
to
presidency.
guilty people. They admit their guilt when they accept a pardon. That's a legal
just a
precedent.
technical-
No. I'm sorry. He ran. I'm sorry, folks. We can pull up clips which Joe doesn't have of him trumpeting the fact that he wants to weaponize the Justice Department because he has enemies. He says, "I have enemies."
That's fair.
He has said he wants to do this. He has said this week he is pissed that he cannot.
At this point, I think it would only be fair because I think it was weaponized against him for these last 4 years.
What?
The man's been in court these last 4 years.
Yes,
For
be-
what not?
because he's a
Bullshit.
criminal.
Because he's a criminal, Joe.
And Biden's any less?
Can you tell who's
yeah.
the feds?
Well,
out there?
yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, you can't conflate Hunter Biden and Joe Biden.
Joe Biden has a distinguished and long career of being corrupted.
And he needs to go away. And
Decades.
he's had a long, distinguished career of trying to work across both aisles or both sides across the aisle.
For whatever corporations want.
He is the reason we are here where we are, and for that I don't like him, and I wish he would go away and just let the Democratic Party
Likely to get your wish
rebuild
rather soon.
itself.
Well, simple enough. How about this? How about we let's go ahead and fire clip 2. Let's talk about one of Trump's controversial policies, one of the most controversial right off the bat.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
So, just real quick, and then I'll just go ahead and throw it to the panel, whoever really wants to take it the most, me, whatever you guys want to do. I'm going to say I think he did that one a little quick. Now, some are like, okay, screw it, rip the Band-Aid off and do it. I do understand some of the reasons why he did it. Also, I understand some of the reasons why, like we talked about in an earlier episode, George, you're not Joe, I'm Joe. George, in an earlier episode, things that you were afraid of happening, and I could see how that would emphasize that fear. And that's why I'm pretty against him doing it on one of his very first executive orders. But I can see...
He said he wouldn't.
Well, he didn't say he wouldn't do that, and that also does not affect gay marriage.
I'm sorry, Joe. There is
Before we
no
dive into
greater
this, can I ask
friend.
a
Hold on, I just want to throw it out. There is no greater friend to the trans people, to the gay people than me. No greater friend. No greater friend.
I stand where I stand with what I said before. If he does anything to abolish gay marriage, I will be, very against
It's going to
him.
be too late, Joe, and your apology will mean the end of my marriage. So it's going to be a hollow one.
Well, once
Can
again,
I ask a question about this particular topic? Because I don't know. Hopefully, someone at this table can explain to me, what does this executive order do? Does it mean that on federal forms,
yes.
there's now only male and female?
It's very
Identifications,
simple.
et cetera,
What it basically
passports.
does, it's very simple. What it means is, yes, on federal documents, and there are reasons for that. If you are a born male or a born female, and if you are in a car accident, and your license says you're the opposite sex of what you are, that has to do with how the paramedics are going to treat you.
That is
That's
correct.
ridiculous.
So this is not necessarily a gay people thing. This is a trans people thing. And not that I'm against trans people either. It's just something as simple as, yes, your government ID in that case and in that scenario should state your biological birthright.
No, it shouldn't.
I don't see why not. If you're not conscious to actually say what you are.
Because that's not what any of this is about. Your identity is how you go through life in this world. It's how you are interpreted at airports, when you're stopped by the cops, all sorts of things like that. And, for the past number of years, everybody's told me, we're just concerned. We're just concerned about the grooming of children and everything, right? And I said, no, they're going after adults. They want to tell trans adults that they can't be trans adults, and they're going to try to unwind their rights and force them to be something else. And everybody told me, no, that's not what it is. James told me that plenty. But you know what we're seeing? They're going after all trans adults.
I'm going to take that as you throwing it to me for just a second, because I want to address what George said too. So essentially what we're talking about here, everybody seemed to just agree, is that what just changed is that on federal forms, now you're no longer selecting a gender, you're selecting a sex. Because I was always told that I was supposed to keep these two things separate and that they're not the same thing. Yeah. Are we still operating under that ideology?
I think Trump used the wrong term when he said gender.
That's what I mean. It's borderline meaningless to me. Like, I understand some people might be upset that, like, oh, I can't just pick whatever I want on there, but like, I don't understand what value there is. Like, why do I want to look at somebody's federal identification?
Yeah, I want to go. I was just going to say.
All right, let's kick it over.
Go with the new guys.
But why does it matter?
So,
well, that's what I was going to say too. But go ahead.
Joe's upset with the timing of the announcement or the executive order. I think it's a distraction more than important issues more than anything. Look, I'm a live and let live type of person.
You pull that mic up a little bit.
We all are.
Yeah, so sorry. I think most of the social issues, when they're brought main and center, it's taking away from more important issues. I think there's more of a uniform government. Both Democrats and Republicans, they always get through their money policies. They always make sure the military complex is taken care of. They all get rich from the government. So, most social issues do not impact Americans on a day-to-day basis. Yes, they impact a lot of Americans, and they're not going to keep them out of federal government. We should have discussions about those issues in government, but I think there's a lot more important policies that Trump should be talking about rather than making this his inaugural speech on day one.
No, yeah,
anyone.
Exactly. That's how I feel.
I'm on board with that.
May I just agree with you? I think anyone, not just Trump. Trans people they are a minority. Minorities deserve protection. The sexes deserve equality. So this isn't an anti-trans thing to say, but it's 0.16% of the population. And I'm going to go to Danny, but it's 0.16% of the population. This is why people have lost the thread with the Democratic Party, because they have stopped talking to working class people who are struggling, and they 100%. don't have answers. And the Democrats have historically been the party to address that, and they have lost the thread. So, Danny, I just want to,
I'm
Mike.
not really against the
pretend
whole
it's my cock. Get real close.
All right. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say that you now have to be 18 to decide if you're a different sex now?
There's a lot of things going on with that.
Because that's what I took from it the most, is that now you should be a legal age to make that decision for yourself. And if you're a legal age to make that decision for yourself,
so Danny, may I ask you, do you distinguish between a legal age and an age of reason?
Age of consent, legal age.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, which they made 18. So.
I would avoid the word consent because it has that
it's all around the same
connotation to it. I mean, we're not talking about 14-year-old girls here. But I'm
14-year-old girl's not
just curious.
I don't want a 14-year-old girl deciding that she'd rather be a boy right now until she's of an age to make a more educated decision.
I mean, you can't get a tattoo until you're 18.
It's a very libertarian, it's a very right-wing thing to say people should have control over their own bodies. So I raise that point because when it comes to hormones, age may have a factor. If you wait till 18 after you've achieved a certain level of puberty, then the options for you are limited or different or whatever. And so I don't know what the right answer is, by the way.
No, none of us
I don't.
do.
But I don't think it should be the thing we're talking about. Out of all the things that we could have pulled from that inauguration, I think this is the least important thing, and that's nothing against trans people.
It seems like everybody sitting here kind of agrees with that. We're all kind of shaking our head at Brian.
That's what I was surprised he did it on day one. I really and I don't think it was necessary. I mean, sure, a week down the road, whatever, but I guess he's just trying to rip the Band-Aid off and just do what he did.
It's his perverted sense of showmanship.
I guess.
It was
always
to distract.
He always has.
So I think you put this on the table, everybody else doesn't notice the other shit that he's
I mean, in fairness, he did
Possibly.
campaign on it. So, people because there are people that's an important issue to that are his voters. So, to his base, he's basically saying, hey, day one, I'm doing what you voted for me for.
Absolutely.
I don't think any of us think it's a big deal, but Probably matters to a significant amount of people.
It only everything matters to you when it affects you. So if taxes go up in your tax bracket, you get pissed, right? I mean that's just all of us, and that doesn't matter who's in office. So if we are a person who identifies in that group, if we are the 1.6%, it does matter. And there is a reason why protection of minorities is better than not. They're called minorities for a reason. Again, the gay population is only 10%. It's about 1 in 10 people. And so it's a lot less. It's about 1 in 2 in 1 to 2 in 100 for the transgender. So again, they deserve protection, but we have real problems here, folks, internationally and right here at home. And this should
shit
be
does hurt
and in
people I
Greenland.
know and care about, though.
It does. No. You're absolutely right. No, it deserves some level on the podium, but it doesn't deserve the first spot.
No, absolutely. I agree. So
Can I ask
there's
a
a
quick
lot.
question about that.
Sure,
Do
yeah.
you mean that because you kind of hinted at from a political perspective and you did on a previous episode too, where you're like,
I meant to.
This is the reason why the Democrats lost a lot of the Democratic voters,
Of course.
at hearts and minds. So, are you saying that it shouldn't be a top priority because of that, or for more morally based reasons?
Well, morality is subjective, so that's a completely we could have a whole show.
I know.
just
I'm
on-
asking
just,
you like what your reasons for saying it are, though.
For saying what? I'm sorry. Could you?
Yeah, my bad. Like, do you mean that you don't think that should be an issue that we are?
The Democrats
focused
should always maintain their proud history up till from the 60s forward. Until the 1960s, they were kind of the racist party. But okay, 60s forward, they took on after LBJ
Civil Rights Act. Wonder for their
correct.
PR.
After LBJ, they took on civil rights,
sure.
and so it's a proud history then forward, and they should own it. But it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Chinese, whatever. If you're hurting in the pocketbook, if you're worried about your kid's future, if you don't know how you're going to make the next mortgage payment or rent, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, that was a big electoral.
And I think the Democrats have have a wonderful opportunity to be like Britain and be the opposition party. Where in Britain, when you win an election, the entire party wins, and the party nominates the prime minister and these things. And then you have an opposition party, and their whole job is just to bitch and moan and kvetch and say how much you're doing that's wrong. And that's what the Democrats need to start doing. And they need to make it articulate. They need to talk to regular people. Trump talks to regular people. I will give him that. Mm-hmm. He knows how to do that.
Certainly.
I don't know. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent like you. But the Democrats don't, and they need to get on the ball.
They won't.
Well, and that's very sad.
I agree.
Because they are Luke Skywalker. They are Luke Skywalker. It's our only hope. And it's a sad hope.
That was Obi-Wan Kenobi, but okay.
I've got bigger hopes.
A lot of people
Get
feel that
better
way
hopes.
about Trump. That's how divided this country is. I don't even understand how we're called the United States of America
Are we ready for this next
anymore.
call?
We're gonna do it.
Joe, can I make one comment on the timing?
Sure.
So I do think Trump won the election on the backs of the working class, and his economic policy so far is not supporting the working class. And this is one thing he can throw to his voting sector and his population that say, hey, I'm doing something for you, even though in the grand scheme of things, it's easy to do. It gives some to him, while at the same time, he can focus on the economic policy he wants to, supporting the oligarch tax code.
The lowest four tax brackets are going up. The lowest four,
Right.
And that includes like people making $100,000 to $200,000 annually. That's going up. It's up. It's people making $400,000 and more. I own a small business, an LLC. My taxes are probably going to go up, and I'm already paying 40%. I was telling Stevie earlier, it's like having the mafia as a partner. I make I make $100. I give $40 away. Well, it cost me $60 to make the 100. And now I got to give you 40 of my dollars as the prop. So anyways, it's hard for the small business.
It is.
And again, that's why the Democrats could be there.
Can you tap your mic really quick?
With what?
Your fingers?
Oh,
There it goes.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of dying off a little bit again.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that.
go to this one. Hello. Oh, it is dead.
Yeah, switch mics.
Yeah, just switch them up if you can.
Can I?
Yeah.
Hello. Is this better?
That's way better.
I can't hear it.
Way
Oh my
better.
gosh.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's fine.
I have no clue why that does that, man. That's it's like a channel failing.
It's a ghost in the shell.
Very strange. I'm just having all
Cheap
kinds
equipment.
of issues. yeah, real cheap.
Get a Sennheiser.
The AI is taking over.
No, it's not the mic; it's the channel. Okay, so why don't we just switch it up really quick? Let's go with clip 3. Let's talk about this controversial issue. Take it off Trump a little bit.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one this one
Watch out,
really
folks, he's about
matters.
to give his heart to us.
And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
In case you didn't see it the first time.
My heart goes out to you.
Oh, good, thanks.
It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
Okay.
So, Joe,
let me go first here.
How about them?
Let me go first
Fair
really
enough.
quick.
He is the host. He should go first.
Let me go first. Let me throw my thoughts to this, and then I'll go ahead and throw it to the panel and see what you guys think. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I'm sorry, but calling people Nazis needs to stop.
Correct. However,
I don't care what side it's from.
Correct.
It needs to stop.
However,
That's kind of Nazi-ish of you, Joe.
However, when someone does do the Nazi salute, maybe we take notice.
Now,
You actually see that as a Nazi salute.
That is not. Now, hey,
Joe, do me
I'm
a
not going
favor.
to argue the fact
You're
of what
gonna
it
put
looks
this
like.
on. You're going to put this on the internet.
It's pretty close.
Do me a favor. Can you both give me your heart right now? I want this on camera for the internet. Do it.
Do I have to do it like I don't want
Yes,
to do,
do
it,
it
how
just
he
like
did
do it right now.
I'll do it right now. My heart goes out to you.
No. That was
My
not what
heart
he did.
goes
Do
out
it.
to you.
Why? Why are you so
What
scared?
part am I doing
You're just
wrong?
giving
He
me your
went-
heart.
Okay.
We're putting this in context.
Why-
I was waiting to see this
Now,
clip.
now.
Oh.
Here's the thing, guys.
Now let
Here's the
people
thing.
see this
Okay,
clip
they're
and
a
we're
little
viral,
nervous,
baby.
folks.
Here's the thing, guys.
Yeah,
Here's the
that
thing.
was
You can't give your
intentional.
heart to me. I understand.
I'm tired of it. You know deep down it's full
Not
of
Boy
shit.
Who Cries Wolf.
Okay,
Read
so, all right.
Umberto Eco is one of the foremost intellectuals in our lifetime. He writes in 1996 about the fascist, the eternal fascist. He looks at Nazi Germany. He says this is how it will manifest in the United States. It will manifest with American flags and crosses. That is how you are going to see fascism in this country, Joe.
Okay, so not with a Nazi salute, though.
Let me put
Yes,
a little
with
bit of
the Nazis-
context
well,
on Elon Musk
My
specifically.
point being is that I
Fascists tend to
understand
change their flags.
it's
Of
a
course.
very
That's the point,
so
though.
why would it be an American flag?
Because it's not going to be. History doesn't repeat itself. You're not going to see Nazi Germany as existed. They were coming off a World War II recession that was people were
World War
using their currency as toilet paper. Okay, you cannot compare where they were to where it's a dumb historical
Now-
argument.
Okay, who here on this panel has been in front? I'm just, not to toot my own horn, but I'm just going to say who has been on stage in front of thousands of people.
I don't know if it was 1,000. Yeah.
I mean, I've been on television with 100,000 people, so
Well, but on television, and 100,000, like watching live.
I want to raise
Yes,
my hand
live
just
television is
to
live.
feel superior to
Okay,
that half of the table.
well,
I want to raise my hand.
oh, we got one person.
Yeah, be careful.
Danny, buddy.
Apparently, we have to be careful
We're
on
gonna
how
scrub-
we raise our hands nowadays. Well, and I don't know if I have the meme somewhere.
Elon
Probably
Musk's
not,
a
but
little autistic too, though.
you
ain't he?
can
Like,
find
it's just-
still
it's
shots of
awkward.
every single
Joe,
politician
do it.
making this.
No, you
can
cannot.
Still
of
show.
doing
No,
this.
you cannot. You can
Those
find
are
a,
stills.
You can find
Those
a
are
still
stills waving.
Those are
This was intentional.
normal things happening.
He intentionally made it look.
Yes,
You
Joe.
think it was
Okay.
intentional?
If you
So-
put up,
It was absolutely
I'm going to
intentional.
call you out on this. If you put up a still later
Whether
about
that's
this
what he
with like
believes or
Barack
not,
Obama,
I think it's
or
an
something,
ideological
was
Rorschach
intention.
test is what
There
I
was
think.
intention behind what he did.
Of course,
I think it's
there
an
was.
ideological Rorschach
And
test,
to
you're gonna
that,
see what you see.
to that, I said, you know what, guys, you must be right, because that's obviously the very most logical thing to do is get on stage in front of millions and millions
What
of people,
about
probably
anything
billions
right
of
now is
people,
logical? And
and
openly
do
do
the
Nazi
Nazi salute.
Well,
That's
let's
the
talk
most
about
logical
who Elon
thing.
Musk is.
I think
That's
we
the most
should.
logical
Let's go
thing.
to Topher. on this.
Elon Musk
Topher.
is the child of apartheid South Africa.
Yes.
He believes in race science in his
Yes.
bones, and he advocates
Eugenics,
for
absolutely.
it openly. He is a eugenicist, and he's made these points very clearly when he talks about the future.
Yes.
He's given long, extensive interviews describing his eugenics views.
Yes.
Elon Musk is absolutely, in his heart, a Nazi. And that's why I think he did this, to show off to his fans and
He
to show off
did.
to his base. He is
It was
all
a fuck
about
you.
image. Look at
It
what he did
was.
with the gamer scandal recently. He faked being an expert gamer. He is all about
highest
image.
rated Diablo player
Billionaires
ever.
are always all about image. That's why they hire these PR firms to craft their images in unique ways.
That's very
If his
interesting.
people advised him to openly do Nazi salutes, he should probably fire those PR people you just mentioned.
My point about being on stage is all I'm going to say is yes, I have been, and I have done plenty of stupid shit, and I've said plenty of stupid shit because your adrenaline is pumping so high. And but personally, what I think,
You ever do a Nazi salute though?
This is the most
I mean, I'm sure you could probably find a still of me looking like it. Possibly,
Joe, that wasn't a still.
not a still,
That was not
brother.
a still.
Okay, sure.
And there was two back to back.
I mean, there's a possibility. I mean, I got my guitar pick in my hand, my guitar is slung around. I only have one hand, and I'm trying to say my heart goes out to you. Maybe there's a possibility that I might accidentally do something that looks like a Nazi salute. All I'm saying is it was certainly accidental. Was it ill-advised? Yeah. Should he have fucking used two hands? Was it something he thought about beforehand? Absolutely
most
not.
likely.
I don't think he thought about it at all. I think it was something that he did full of adrenaline in front of thousands, actually millions of people, if not billions, that actually watched it probably.
Billions weren't watching. No,
Not live,
no,
but I'm just saying
sorry.
that they've
Joe,
seen
that's
it now. They've seen it now.
How do you feel about applying the same thing that we did to our last topic to this topic? And that is this really that important?
It is
a bunch of hyperbolic political
some
theater
of us are
nonsense.
worried about an oligarchy. Some of us are worried about fascism,
There's
which
a
is
lot
a
of people-
I've been
merger.
worrying
Which
about
is
that
hold
for
on.
decades.
I
I'm
can
with
finish
you.
the thought though. Some of us are worried about the private sector and the public sector merging too closely. Some of us are legitimately
Don't
worried.
you agree with me that
and
already
this is
happened a while
exactly
ago?
well. This is exactly what
We've
happened.
been living under that, in my
This is
opinion.
what happened in Nazi Germany.
Getting worse.
The Germans loved Adolf Hitler. We're close to time, Joe, but the Germans
We are.
loved Adolf
I knew this
Hitler.
one was going to go over. I'll just say that much.
I'll be short but not terse. Adolf Hitler took over the economy of Germany. He revitalized it. He revitalized industry. So the Germans were very much behind him. Okay. So you have to understand it is a part of fascism to see these things happen. So you are right. Have people said Obama's Hitler and this person's Hitler and that person? Yes.
It undermines the Holocaust itself.
Yes,
I'm tired of calling someone a Nazi.
I totally agree with you on that. But I do think it is worthy to take people at their word. And it's the most un-Republican argument I've ever heard to say someone isn't responsible for their own actions. That is the entire basis of the Republican Party
don't
is
think- do
you
we have
are
a Republican
responsible
here?
for what
My
you
man's
do.
spitting fire.
And Elon Musk is not a novice. He has spoken many times to many crowds.
Hundreds of times.
This isn't
Not
a
with any
guy
kind
who
of
stumbled
skill.
on stage.
The
and, "Look, I'm
adrenaline
sorry.
does
I'm
not
sorry."
the adrenaline does not ever go away, and that was a
course.
rather big event.
It was
So I'm just
Then he should
He was
apologize.
hyped.
Why didn't he apologize? Why didn't you say, "I'm so
Because
sorry that was
he's a bored
misconstrued"?
internet troll. Like
Exactly.
I don't like
He
Elon
is.
Musk.
Exactly.
Self-proclaimed internet
I like some of the
troll,
stuff
he
that his
is.
companies
No, he
do.
definitely
but-
did it to troll people too.
did it look like a Nazi
absolutely
salute?
Yes.
Yes.
It very
I'm not-
much
I'm-
did.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. It very much did. It was
And the
it was
Nazi
very
salute is
ill
very much
performed.
giving your heart
It was very
to
ill
the
performed.
country.
It was ill
to the
performed.
Führer.
And
Well, he was giving it
I'm
to
not
a crowd
sure.
if he
I don't
knew
know if
those
anybody
words.
knows if he ever did do any
that's the
kind of a
country.
formal apology. If he didn't, he should have at least done a light of formal apology and said, the one thing I know he did respond with is, y'all are going to have to do better, because I think it was a stab at him.
Well, I can
the
say
minute
the
that you
same
see,
about him.
oh my God, Nazi salute, Nazi salute, Nazi salute. Oh my God, he's a Nazi. He's a Nazi. Like that's the
And then
first
Trump
thing everybody
pardoned
says.
1,600 Proud Boys.
He's not a Nazi
God.
because of the salute. He's
Joe,
a Nazi
it's-
because
Joe,
of his views.
I don't-
It's a lot
Are
of
there
little
that many
things that
Proud
add up.
Boys?
It's a lot of. I won't throw it to you, but it's a lot of little things that add up.
True, but at the same time, and then if we like, and not that we're going to spend a lot of time on it, we can't
You
really.
ever hear about
but
boiling the frog? If you put a frog in boiling
Boiling
water,
water,
it's going to jump
yes.
out of the pan. But if you put it in water
Slowly.
and you bring it slowly to a boil,
Slowly.
it will die. It will
and
die in the pan.
There's something
It
to be
won't
said
jump
about
out.
those pardons too. Like there's Trump, and then there's even J.D. Vance's stance on that, which I would probably lean more towards Vance's than Trump's, is saying anybody who actually assaulted a police officer should definitely be serving their sentence. I think they should have a sentence more associated with assaulting a police officer in a normal circumstance than assaulting a police officer on January 6th, because I do think that the sentences were extremely harsh because of January 6th. And I will say, though, there are a lot of people that might just be people like any of us that did just simply walk through there. And yes, I saw
I'm sorry,
those.
You got to.
Every single one of those 15. Every
you
single.
cannot lump me into that group.
Well, I'm not, but every
You
single.
said like a lot.
One of anybody else sitting at this table, whatever the hell. Like, it could have been Topher.
I don't think anyone at this table
It could have
would
been
have done
Topher
those.
who hates Trump that just was walking in there to see what the hell was going
Imagine
on. And
you
there
were down
were
the street
people that
in
were
his
just
speech,
involved.
and then everybody's like, "We're all walking to the Capitol," and you're not really sure what's
and
going on.
you're just roped up in the middle. How many of those
Imagine Obama
1,500
holds a
people in
rally
there?
outside telling the crowd to go disrupt the processes of a democratic election, and then the crowd.
Well, he didn't explicitly say that. He explicitly said peacefully.
He said,
Yes, he
go
did.
down and tell, and he
Peacefully.
said, go down
Oh,
there.
he riled him up.
And
Yeah.
yes, of course. Don't
forget the word
this
peacefully.
Is the apologizing. This is the facts don't
It's
matter.
not the apologizing.
No. We got to make excuses.
Dude,
he didn't really.
I'm
do
just
that.
saying,
If he didn't have
1,400
that rally,
That's not
do you
making
think there would have been a
that's not
January
making
the 6th?
excuses. That's
If
saying
he
what
didn't have that
actually
rally,
happened.
if he didn't have that rally, do you think there would have been January the 6th?
It depends because, you
It
know,
depends.
if you
Well, there's
no,
excuses,
come on,
you know.
let me actually answer it because let's say that you want to listen to like the Jan 6 committee. According to them, this was well planned and organized in advance. So if that's the case, I'm not sure the speech would necessitate it. Maybe the size of the crowd would be
The
much
terrorist
smaller.
organizations did plan.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
without question, we have evidence of it.
okay,
It came out in court.
Yeah.
well, like I said, if you want to go with what the like,
Domestic terrorists are still terrorists, folks.
fine. But what I said was, if they were already planning it and organizing it,
Who's they?
well, I guess if you're listening to the Jan 6 committee, you'd say groups like Oath Keepers, Proud Boys.
Correct.
So
So you don't
some even
believe
foreign
that the
affairs
Proud
groups.
Boys
Oh, I know they played a
are an
role.
organized group?
No,
I
didn't
believe
say
that
You think they're a ragtag assemble
Like-
of hodgepodge?
It seems like you're disagreeing with me, but agreeing with me at the same time. I'm saying that the speech might not have been necessary if they were going to plan and organize it anyway. Because you asked me if without the speech would there have been the insurrection. And no, I don't think it was an insurrection. I don't think
He
I
called
don't
for
think-
his own vice president to be hung.
So like what happens? Okay, so like the
Hanged, sorry,
what do they call him?
hanged.
Like the QAnon Viking or whatever the fuck that guy.
Jamie, yeah.
So you're telling me if that guy like picks up the right lectern when they're in there, like the country's toppled or something?
Wasn't that the guy that was just on Piers Morgan recently?
It looked like a bunch of ass.
I don't know if anybody watched that.
Yes,
I'm
but
pretty sure he
you're
was.
not. But you cannot. They literally stopped Congress. They stopped Congress. I am not allowed
interrupted
to.
Congress.
I cannot go to the board.
Which also happened prior that year.
Go to the board
Also
of
happened prior that year in a BLM riot.
I cannot walk into the board of aldermen and disrupt.
I'm good.
I actually do it regularly in my
You
village.
can and you will be kicked out if
No,
they
we're
can't
too
if they
small.
can't if
The
they
cops
can't
all
get
know us too well.
Well, I assure you, if you go to City Hall and you disrupt a board of aldermen meeting, the marshals will send you out of the building. I assure
in
you.
a larger place than where I live, yes, not where I live. I
Well,
literally
what's
do it all
larger than
time.
the U.S. Capitol building?
But we're also invited to them, and so that was not open to the public that day.
No, it wasn't. You just said it wasn't open to the public, so why did public go?
Okay, guys. Hey, let me wrap this subject up. Can I have a final word on this really quick when I wrap this up?
One comment.
I would just, and I'll go to you, Brian, real quick. I'll let you have the final word. Let me get my edge in really quick. I just want to say that I bet 1,450 of those 1,500 pardons. I bet 1,450 of those people probably just walked through that building and did hardly anything. I bet 50 of them were violent, actual committers, breaking windows, taking shits on Pelosi's desk. Did somebody actually do that? Or I don't know.
No, he put his feet on him. He just got out of jail.
Probably
triple that.
And then actually attacking police officers. I'm sure at
did
least
attack
50 or
police
so,
officers. He
50 or so.
testified.
Number
did.
was probably a little higher, but
I'm willing to bet that
Which guy did?
1,450 of those people pretty much were just walking through thinking it was a simple protest.
Maybe
Same
like
thing goes with
1,200.
any Pierce
but
Park
whatever.
press
Which
rioters.
A massive majority of the number. So
like
to
the
call
feet on
them
the desk
all
guy?
violent
No, I'm talking about
protesters,
a police
I think is
who had
kind of
his eyes
ill-worded.
almost gouged out. They reached underneath his mask.
Yeah.
Sorry, side conversations. There's so many things going on. I'm like, what the fuck? All right, Brian,
Yeah, just
how about a
one
final
last
word
comment
on this?
Elon, whether it was intentional or not intentional, one thing he's absolutely loving the consequences of said body movement or not is that the libs are up in panic and freaking out. Whether he intended it or not, the consequences of that movement and the freak out of the left and the panic, he is
does
absolutely loving that. So
Yeah.
Sure.
He's a troll.
Yeah, and that could have been a troll.
In his heart of hearts.
I find it very hard to believe that it was a planned troll. But
it might not have been.
Oh,
let's just
I wouldn't doubt it 100%.
You think he planned it?
Oh,
Yeah.
You're not going
You're
to
with
do
George
that
on that one.
without.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Once, maybe not
Have you
twice.
ever seen
Yeah.
anybody else on a stage?
The second time is
do
making
anything
sure that your people
really
really got
resembles
the
that?
message.
In the back.
But
In
am
the
I
back.
the only one that doesn't like? There is something just socially off about Elon
Oh.
Musk.
Oh,
well, yeah,
Yeah, he's a
does have little-
We all
psychopath.
agree on that.
Like I've tried to listen to his 3-hour-long podcast before, and I'm like, I cannot
Insufferable.
listen to this.
Bro,
guy.
he's a
Insufferable.
capitalist. Watch any billionaire.
Well, they say
They're
it's a
all, like,
horrible thing to
barely
say,
human.
but like, because we shouldn't be using this, and then they're like downing the Republicans for even mentioning it. But he does have a form of autism, like they call it Asperger's or whatever the hell they do.
Autism doesn't make you a fascist.
It makes him very. It makes him very strange.
Now,
Makes
wouldn't
it-
that be funny if that was the correlation?
I think
Like
so.
all
Fauci.
autistics are fascists and all fascists are autistic.
I mean, I know a lot of autistic communists, so like I think that's not really
I
an
bet you
excuse.
That would be
you know
a
what I mean?
breakthrough
All right.
in
All right, let's go a little lighthearted here. Let's go ahead and wrap this up with the meme game. Stevie, you want to cue the music for us, please?
It's the meme game.
Absolutely.
Someone knows the theme song.
It's quiet. I think
It's all the way up.
no. That's probably fine.
Shit's about to get real.
All right, Stevie, we're going to do it a little different this time. So normally, I would pick a person and throw a meme here. We're just going to throw them to the panel, and we're just going to discuss. So, whoever wants to go and take the first one, Stevie, lay it on us. Nothing says trust the science quite like a blanket preemptive pardon.
I am the science.
And there's the Fauci. There's the Fauci. What do you guys think about this one here?
I know George likes this guy, but like
It's not that I like
he was
him.
a petty
It's just
criminal.
he's not a criminal against. He's not Mussolini.
He's
And
not
that's-
Mussolini. No, you're right about that. But he was a petty criminal in a lot of ways.
That man oversaw the AIDS. I mean, he was in the AIDS
And he embezzled
crisis.
off of
He
it.
was
In order to become that powerful and respected, you have to do a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Microphone, Danny, microphone.
In order
Yeah,
to,
there's very few powerful good people.
yeah, no, you cannot rise to power without
At least
doing
deserving
bad
of an
acts.
investigation, to say the least.
I was going to say,
I agree.
there is a presumption of innocence in this country where you're not just assumed guilty because you are good at your job for 30
No, you
years.
consider
And
guilty.
we
if
do
you're
expect
caught.
Trump to
when
be
you,
innocent.
when you accept an pardon,
is it just
you are
possible? Is
admitting
it just
guilt.
possible?
To
Is
something.
it just possible he was the best person for that job and Trump hates him and
I don't see it.
and Biden pardoned him because he knows what Trump's going to do because Trump said what he's going to do?
Even
I mean,
you
you're
Is
said
that
earlier-
even remotely
Even
possible?
Even
said
if you're
earlier
like
that we botched
80%
our
right,
response.
he was definitely not the best person for the job.
Or is it possible that he actively withheld
He was in
information
the
that
job for so
actually
long 'cause he
ended
was
up
corrupt. And that's
So
why he
was it
when was
Fauci or
corrupt
the
and leading to
Chinese
the
that
doom
unleashed-
of how many people? The death of how many
no one
millions
stays
of
in the
people?
job with that job that long without being corrupt in some capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're blaming him for deaths, but you wanted more people to go to work without
Well, he was,
masks,
what
without
was it, the,
vaccinations,
what was it-
because it was ruining the economy.
was it
but that was gonna be-
ivermectin?
That was going to equate to less deaths.
Was it
or-
ivermectin?
Look, James is on your what you're saying right there, right? But I'm not. Like, I think there were a lot of measures that we took, that we could have took, that we should have took, and there was some things we could have done different. But like Fauci was not like a great guy.
Look,
Not even
He
about
was a
that.
corrupt dude. He did a lot of shitty shit. He sent our fucking bioweapons research over to discount
diversion of
labs in
funds and
China. He
funding.
shouldn't have done
Let
that.
me-
That's
okay,
where the
10
investigation
just 10 seconds. I have this sneaking suspicion that people are going to get the impression that I am defending Biden pardons. I think it's the stupidest thing he's done with his presidency.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Okay.
Although I will admit,
So-
I am very
Ruined his
happy
legacy.
with
But
the
however,
commutation of Leonard
it is
Peltier's
not a
sentence.
black and white issue. It is he is in a political environment unlike the which we have never seen. So am I the president and I'm going out and I see this guy and he's saying he's coming after my family? Do I not pardon them? I don't know as a father that I don't.
For what?
And I don't saying that's right, but I'm not saying. Well,
What are you pardoning him for?
Because he
Well,
has the
though.
Justice Department, man. He
If
just
that-
put the Fox News guy in charge of the Justice Department.
If that-
what
well,
the fuck are you talking
Is it-
about?
is it fair to- 'cause,
He's-
like,
he,
almost-
he complains
Yeah.
about weaponizing
Hey, guys.
and says I want to weaponize.
Whatever y'all want to say, the truth is that the law applies to little people, not to big people, and that's all we're seeing here. It's
Of
more of the
course.
same.
Sure, and maybe you wouldn't actively say to the American people that you will not pardon your son, and let the justice system do the work,
I say
and then
that
do it. I
I'm
mean,
not
maybe
a
you never should
defender
have
of the
said
Biden
that when you were going
pardons.
for re-election,
Only to point out that it's not a black and white issue like you are making it seem.
and then clearly say nobody's above the law, except for all the people I get preemptive pardons.
Who the Supreme Court just nullified all. Why are we talking about no one's above the law? Okay, anyways, but this is a separate
This is
conversation.
what Biden said.
It is a
This is-
separate
we got-
conversation.
this is
You're
a whole-
right.
this is a
we'll
whole,
get into
rabbit
weeds.
hole that
Let's
we
see
don't
another
have
meme.
time
All right,
go to the next meme.
Yeah. Why don't you hit us with the next meme? That'll change things up a bit, won't it?
Joe, I think you were referring
just
to this
another
one
Fauci
a little bit ago.
Oh, there it
There
is.
we go.
I did have that, and
Totally
we did
glad
have that
people
discussion.
waving out-
So
hanging out
yeah,
in the bathroom.
there it is,
Let's see,
guys.
where's the videos?
This is
And that's the
he's
first
on it.
thing.
He's been on it all night.
The
Still
videos
shots.
is the big.
I don't think I need to keep that up.
That
No,
is
you're
a
right.
wave for most.
So
of
like
them.
it's
the
all of
biggest
them.
thing the
all
best
of
thing
them.
I've seen of this is a side by side comparison of a white supremacist doing the Nazi salute compared to Elon doing it, And that was the best video comparison because the white supremacist does the whole specifically, they do the whole thing before they go up.
I think it's great that people on the internet care to try
Well,
to
I mean,
type
I think
of
he's more-
I mean, that's
analysis. Even Hitler himself was lazy with it after a while and would just sit there.
Because he was the Führer,
actually, I broke it down frame by frame. And
by the way, that's especially after the bombing and the assassination attempt. That's because he was the one being saluted. He was just recognizing the salute back. So
so watch out for Trump doing this.
Right.
Trump ain't gonna do that.
He's too busy dancing the YMCA. What's he do? Every event he has.
Every
he does
event,
that
the fucking YMCA.
I used to think that
Puts
song
the
was
national
okay.
anthem next year.
Used to be like
The YMCA clip was fucking hilarious.
Wasn't that actually
Trump
like
is
the
dark
Biden.
gay
Did you see
anthem
the one
for
where
a
he's
while,
on the
pretty
fucking-
much?
It was.
Yeah.
No, Joe's right. It was the gay anthem for many years.
Yeah, and all
gays
of a
were very
sudden
proud
it's-
of it. No longer.
Yeah, not anymore.
Well, the reason why YMCA wore those outfits is because they were taking tropes from like underground gay porn because that's typically how the male.
That's how I
actors were
dress.
dressed up.
God damn it.
Just like metal took on leather
But
culture,
you're not
right?
one of the village people.
Thanks to
Underneath,
Judas
You
Priest.
just throw on that hard hat and you're covered, dude.
Hit us with meme 3, Stevie.
you should be ashamed of yourself, Joe and Stevie, for that last meme.
Oh, that's the
Stevie, I
same
blame
damn
you.
thing. Yeah,
We just talked about
yeah.
that.
No, that's my bad. That's my bad.
Put Joe to bed. He's tired.
What I
Not this Joe, that Joe.
well,
The Biden one.
both. I'm tired too. So that's basically the same thing.
All right, he's got one
I
more.
figured. I guess
That's more propaganda. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
folks.
yeah,
it
it
just
is.
slips in every now and
We'll
again.
get
in
there.
retrospect, I figured that the first one would be a little bit more hardcore on Fauci, and then the second one would be a little more hardcore on the Biden pardons. But they're both the same.
We
damn
thought the
same.
Nazi thing would be lighthearted, folks. We're sorry.
Yeah, well, not so much. All right. So show
Let us
preparation
go.
fail. Hit us with the next meme. Fuck that meme. There we go.
Took my pronouns. I have to.
A reality.
Well, as someone who taught on a college campus and knows,
You know that
by,
girl?
by a book, and this is 4 years ago, right? There were 68 pronouns I had to be aware of by the time I left campus.
That's insane.
I don't mind. Now
gotten out of
look,
hand.
I don't mind people being happy with their life. Just don't assume I know you're a they or a Z.
Bro, I know
without meeting
shit
you,
tons
without
of
having
trans
some
people.
conversation.
All
with
I
you.
know is he's, she's, and theys. I don't know anybody who's outside that range. I mean, I'm talking
I know
about
a
like
ton of theys.
dozens of
I know
people.
cats. I had a girl who identified as a cat, and there was a whole conversation in the communications building at SIUC
We are not
about putting a
inclusive
litter
of
box
furries in
the
this
bathroom.
community.
Is she single?
That's one pussy you don't want.
Like, look, I'm not opposed to furries, but like that's not your identity. That's a hobby.
I would agree. Like there was something. I think me and Luke were talking about at work the other day. Like somebody got pulled over and asked for the driver's license and registration and said, "Well, I identify as a cat." And the officer like apparently proceeded to just fucking
Just neutered the shit out of them.
pretty much. They were just like, "Oh, you identify as a cat? Okay, well in that case, we're gonna have to call animal control, and like you're gonna have to go through a series of rabies shots, and you definitely shouldn't be driving." And then
Spay you
They
under
just
the
pull up
table.
and put that fucking collar on her.
point to the passenger, and then the passenger's like, "Oh, I'm the owner." Well, in that case, you're going to be cited for multiple violations because cats can't drive.
This cat's can't. Well, no, Toots can.
Oh, it was fun.
Wasn't Toots' whole thing that he
Toots
wrecked
is
a lot,
he
though?
can drive up to a point, then he falls off a cliff.
All right, let's wrap this shit up.
Yeah, no shit. Are we out of memes there, Stevie? Or?
The memes were out of time. I'm
48
afraid.
minutes.
We got one more.
All right.
Well,
you
like
want
I
it?
said, I was not going to let you guys know ahead of time because then that would make it even more lax. But I knew this one was going to go over because there was just
In
way
other
too
words,
much
you
to
fucking
cover.
lied
Let's
to
get
us.
over
And we
quickly. I don't
still
see this
didn't
meme.
cover it all. But let's hit up the last meme, and then there it is. Oh, I stole that from you,
he
Topher.
is. He
I stole that
is.
from you.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is the new Henry Ford, those who know.
So Henry Ford,
who
for
know.
those who don't know,
It was
literally funded
hated
and
Jews, by the
sponsored
way.
Adolf
Yeah,
Hitler. He was a major force. He tried to push the U.S. to go into World War II on the opposite side.
Literally wrote about anti-Semitism in favor of
and
it.
I mean, like Hitler was broadly funded by all of Wall Street. This wasn't like just a Henry Ford endeavor. The oligarchs were generally on Hitler's side of the entire thing.
Of course.
And he's
But
also
Henry Ford was
responsible for the
major one.
They
40-hour
were
work
filling
week, so
up
fuck
Madison
that
Square
guy.
Garden with
The F-150 is a hell of a truck, though.
Unions are responsible for maintaining the 40
Thank you, George. You got that hella right.
I prefer GM.
All right.
All right. Well, this is fun.
This has been
hella
fun.
fun.
I knew this was going to go over. I mean, thank God we only went 20 minutes over
Hey,
because
that's
I really
The
I thought
folks
I was
at
going
home
to
had
break it.
fun, right? Yeah.
I hope so. So, this has been episode whatever of the Madhouse Show.
That's right. We don't count
Episode 13, Joe.
After 4, we lose count, folks.
Supposed to be 13. yeah, I don't even know. I don't know where these are going to place anymore. Who knows? Who knows how fast I have to release them because everything's old news, right? Like in the minute. So this is probably going to be way old news by the time it airs.
It's going to be 1 week old. You're good.
Well, thank you so much, the panel guys. I appreciate you guys being here. I really like having these conversations.
Enjoyed
Hope
it,
you guys
guys.
enjoy it. Definitely subscribe if you guys haven't yet, especially if you made it this far.
Like
You're a
the stream.
warrior. Nobody makes it this far in this videos. That's why we try not
Like
to
the
do them that
Stromboli.
long. But I very much appreciate it. George, your thumbs up ain't gonna work. You don't have a you don't have a magnet in your finger like
trying to make it
Topher.
happen for you, man. I'm sorry.
It's whoever's sitting here, like shows up here.
Maybe. No, not me either. Okay, well, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. This has been the Madhouse Show, and we'll catch you next week.